Okay, well, real quick, I just wanted to give my thoughts on a trailer that I saw last night that, I didn't have time to record my reaction for last night. And that trailer is, of course, the fourth Uncharted game. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, I believe it's called. Is that what it's called? Yes, it is. It's still developed by Naughty Dog. And real quick, I'd like to give my impressions of the Uncharted series as a whole. I mean, I've liked all the games. In fact, in fact, Drake's Fortune. I really like Drake's Fortune. It's by today's standards, or at least by the standards that were set by later Uncharted games, I kind of wish there was a little more variety in terms of setting, because you were just kind of trapped on an island. In my opinion, it still holds up. I mean, it's still a very cinematic and exciting tale. The acting is top notch from the likes of Nolan North, Emily Rose, Richard McGonagle, all of them. So yeah, Drake's Fortune is probably the weakest of the main trilogy, but that it's by no means bad, in my opinion. I mean, it's just the thing that came before the titles that improved upon it. So so yeah, it's kind of like measuring the first Terminator movie to Terminator 2. I mean, it's not really fair to judge it like that, because Terminator 2 is widely regarded as one of the best movies of all time. So yeah, yeah, Uncharted Drake's Fortune is still pretty good. Among Thieves, I love. I mean, everyone loves Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. I mean, it's got a great story. The graphics are gorgeous. It's still got some of the best looking water and snow in all of gaming. There's like I said, more variety in the environments. It's this huge epic globe-trotting adventure. The characters are in my opinion more fleshed out. The writing is actually a bit better. Uncharted 3, it's not quite as good as Uncharted 2, but I like the fact that it's a more personal story. I wish that some of the characters like Chloe and Elena had gotten a more central role like they did in Uncharted 2. But but in terms of being a Nathan Drake story, it's kind of like the last crusade of the trilogy, because it really explores Nathan Drake's paternal relationship with Sully, and how Sully has basically become this kind of father figure through the years, and kind of exploring the origins and how they met and stuff. So from that angle, and like I said, telling a more personal story about Nathan Drake in favor of telling a story about the treasure, I thought it worked remarkably well. Golden Abyss, I thought, was probably the weakest of all of them, because again, there's not really as much variety in the environments. It again is just kind of a jungle game. The characters I didn't really think were as strong. Um, the Spanish warlord, or he's not Guerrero. Guerrero, I didn't think was all that great of a villain. He was okay, but there wasn't really a whole lot to him. Uh, Marissa Chase, I believe her name was. She was fun, but when compared to Elena and Chloe, she just seemed kind of like a discount character. I'm sorry. Um, Probably had something to do with the fact that Golden Abyss was not actually written or directed by Amy Hennig, or at least not directly. I mean, they used her characters like Drake and Sully, but nothing else. So so yeah, I kind of went into that expecting the writing to not be as good, and surprisingly, I still liked it. True, some of the characters and some of the moments were kind of obnoxious, and like I said, it is still the weakest of the four. But as far as handheld games go, I think it's still one of the best. Um, and now we have Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Now, real quick, I just wanted to say that I've been kind of worried about this game for a few months now, because for those who don't know, a few months back, Amy Hennig, the aforementioned writer of the original Uncharted trilogy, And the game director, she left. She left Naughty Dog very unexpectedly, and this a new development may have popped up since then. But last I heard, she did not part ways with Naughty Dog on the best of terms. And I think she's at EA now. So that's unfortunate because I did really like her writing style. I liked what she did with a lot of the characters. I really liked the characters that she created. And I, like any hardcore fan of this series, was very sad to see her go. And just when I thought that would be it, the game director of Uncharted 4, Justin Richmond, he left. So this thing has been this game has been in it's had all of this development trouble. I mean, two major players have left since it was announced. So yeah, I was approaching this one with a great deal more trepidation than the previous two, or the previous four, I should say, two. And you know, when I watched the trailer, you know, it looks very good, but it was just kind of a teaser. There wasn't really a whole lot to it because it really was just kind of a more chiseled Nathan Drake waking up and walking around and having some narration. They're kind of shrouding the main plot in mystery, kind of like they did for previous games like Drake's Deception. Because I believe Drake's Deception was kind of scrolling over the map and had some narration by Nathan Drake. Here it's kind of narrations by Nathan Drake and Sully, basically saying, Sully, I need you one last time. So right away from this trailer we can assume that both Nathan Drake and Sully are obviously going to be back. I mean, they've been with us for 4 games now, so I doubt they're going to break that formula. Now, what the trailer did not reveal was whether the supporting characters like Elena and Chloe, and to a lesser extent Charlie Cutter from Uncharted 3 were going to be back. I don't know, but aside from the trailer, I also have a description of or at least the first story details released by Naughty Dog, and it goes, quote unquote, several years after his last adventure, retired fortune hunter Nathan Drake is forced back into the world of thieves. With the stakes much more personal, Drake embarks on a globe-trotting journey in pursuit of a historical conspiracy behind a fabled pirate treasure. His greatest adventure will test his physical limits, his resolve, and ultimately what he's willing to sacrifice to save the ones he loves. Okay, so what we can assume from this is that the hunch I had while watching the trailer was correct. It's going to be pirate based or pirate themed because a lot of the items in the environments that we saw in the teaser trailer looked almost Aztec, or they look like something out of a pirate movie or a pirate game. They look like something you might find lying around in, you know, Assassin's Creed 4. And from the description, we can safely say that someone close to Nathan Drake is going to be put in danger. So we could possibly make the assumption that Elena is going to be in the game, especially given the fact that her and Drake got together in the last game. However, I can't 100% support that because if you remember in Uncharted, at the end of Uncharted 2, they got together, but then they kind of retconned that and were separated at the beginning of Uncharted 3. So actually, they've done that twice to us already, because they got together at the end of the first game, then they were separated in the second game, then they got together again in that game, then they were separated in the third game. So I don't know if they're going to do that again. Whether or not they're going to make it basically a cliche, I don't know. But, you know, from the story details, I can't imagine them not bringing someone back. I can't imagine them releasing something like this, quote, willing to sacrifice what he's willing to sacrifice to save the ones he loves. I can't imagine them creating a new character or more than one new character and saying, he really cares for this person who we just met. So so I can't imagine them doing that. I can't imagine an Uncharted game, or at least a main one developed by Naughty Dog, without Elena. Not just because she's a fun character, but because of her continuous relationship with Drake himself. And one thing from the description and from the trailer that has me kind of worried is is the phrase retired fortune hunter. Okay, so Drake is retired. It's been several years after his last adventure. So in the back of my head, I'm thinking, are they going to do a Crystal Skull here? However, those fears were slightly laid to partial rest when I saw that Drake in the trailer does not look like 70 years old like Harrison Ford did in Crystal Skull. Also, I do like Drake better than I like Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, at least in terms of character. I mean, I think Drake has more charm to him than Harrison Ford does. Please leave your negative comments in the section below. But he doesn't look 70 years old. He looks mid 40s. So it's not like he's completely past his prime. So yeah, I'm going to give Naughty Dog the benefit of the doubt, is what I'm basically saying, is that I don't really agree with the angle that they're going for 100%, because I do think, it's only been 4 years since the last Uncharted game. I mean, it's not like Crystal Skull where it was made 18 or 19 years later, and you basically have to go with the story of the hero being past his prime. You can still do a game that takes place shortly after Drake's deception, but it doesn't really look like they're going that route. They're going for the retired hero being forced back into action. Straight out of Lethal Weapon with Murtaugh saying, "I'm too old for this shit." Whether or not they're going to make some kind of a old joke about Drake, or I don't know, draw some kind of parallel between him and Sully. I don't know. That might actually be kind of clever, assuming they don't go too on the nose with the humor. But yeah, with the departure of Amy Hennig and Justin Richmond, I am a great deal more trepidatious about this entry in the series than I was about something like Among Thieves or Drake's Deception, because with those you basically had a guarantee that it was going to be good. Here, less so. I mean, it's still developed by Naughty Dog, so there is that certain degree of assurance, of quality assurance, because it's Naughty Dog. It's Naughty Dog. I mean, it's one of the most respected developers in the gaming industry. I mean, they have made just great game after great game after great game. They're basically beloved by gamers all over the world. And yeah, I've basically supported them since the first Jak and Daxter game. So I'm not going to completely jump ship after these somewhat discouraging developments. And the trailer itself looks very good. I mean, it like I said, I like the angle that they're going for, at least in terms of teasing it, because they're not giving away too much of the story, but at the same time they're setting up they're kind of setting up the treasure by filling the environment with pirate themed stuff, while at the same time explaining the premise via narration. So it was a good trailer, and it has me hyped, and graphically it was gorgeous, but the departure of key players like that, especially in the case of Amy Hennig, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I don't know. I guess I just have to see what happens. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm sure a lot of people want this game to be good. I want this game to be good. But it's just a case of let's wait and see.